7.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Welcome into a Monday edition of Game Night here on 97.3 ESPN FM. And yes, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle. We are back from a busy weekend, and we're going to get more into the Sixers and NBA a little bit later this hour. Sixers back in action tonight at 7 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. Bryan Toporek, the co-host of the NBA podcast and Forbes Sports NBA writer. He will join us coming up around 6:35 tonight. Of course, you can join the conversation as well at 609-403-0973. Get to your text messages in just a bit in this hour, but we got to start with the takeaways from the Sixers because Mike Gill spent the show today fielding a lot of feedback from you guys, and I'm noticing there's one of two perspectives out there. There's one perspective that says, hey, you lost by 3 to the best team in the Eastern Conference. And the other perspective is, we can't beat this team, we stink. And I got to say, I'm along with the first perspective way more than the second. And it has to do with understanding that basketball is a sport that encompasses a really long season. And part of encompassing a long season is understanding how to evolve with that season, how to grow with that season, how to not be a prisoner of the moment in a long season. See, the biggest difference between a sport like football and the other sports, football is a sprint. Football is, you got 17 weeks to figure this thing out, get in the playoffs, and then you have a chance. Baseball, basketball, hockey, these sports take all season long. And you're going through the entire season, evolving and growing and trying to figure out who is doing what and what the deal is with all these situations. And for me, I don't look at a loss to the Celtics as the defining moment of the season. I say, as I told Mike Gill earlier on the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN, to me, I take both the Grizzlies win and the Celtics loss together, and I say, you went blow for blow with two of the best teams in the NBA. A Grizzlies team that, by the way, the next game they played completely smashed the Denver Nuggets. Denver Nuggets are the best team in the Western Conference by record. And they got completely the floor wiped with their faces across it by the Grizzlies. It was absolutely insane watching that outcome in that game. But most of you have no idea that game happened because it happened the same day as Sixers lost to the Boston Celtics. See, context has to be brought into these conversations. And I understand there's a lot of people out there, and maybe some of you are listening to me right now on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Wherever you're listening, appreciate you joining the show today. I'm not going to be a prisoner of the moment. And if that's who you are, then I feel bad because I got 99 problems. And being a prisoner of the moment is not one of those. To paraphrase Jay-Z. The Sixers on Saturday night had a poor shooting performance, struggled on rotations in the second half defensively, and they got lit up by Jaylen Brown, and then from 3 by Al Horford, who for only the third time this year has had five or more three-pointers made. So I'm not going to sit here on this microphone and insult anyone's intelligence and tell you that the loss of the Celtics is an edict on this team. Because realistically, if Maxey plays better, if Tobias Harris has a better second half, if Horford hits one or two less three-pointers, then you know what happens. You won that game on Saturday. And our conversation is completely different. See, you have to go game by game analysis, wins and losses in the postseason. In the regular season, it's about learning who you are. It's about growing. It's about figuring out what you can and can't do and understanding that when you do face fill in the blank team in the playoffs, then you can change what you're doing. And I understand we were all disappointed by the Sixers' loss to the Celtics. No one's happy they lost to Boston. I mean, maybe some of you are because you just hate the Sixers. But the majority of people are not thrilled or happy or content that they lost in that game. But the reality is that we are in an NBA where Damian Lillard had to score 71 points to help his team win this weekend. Think about that. Lillard had to score 71 points. Then and only then did his team beat. Wait a minute. Who is that they beat? Oh, that's right. That was the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets are one of the worst teams in the NBA. If you weren't aware, maybe you were. I don't know. But Lillard had to score 71 to beat the Rockets. The NBA is so much more than just wins and losses. It's about understanding the ebb and flow of a game. It's understanding that a team like Milwaukee, just to use a specific example, a team like Milwaukee doesn't have Giannis, but they beat the Phoenix Suns. In fact, the last time Milwaukee lost a game, it was January 21st. And I'm here to tell you that Giannis didn't play the full entirety of every single one of those games. On Saturday night, I should say, Jason Tatum didn't have a great game, but he showed up when Boston needed him to make the game-winning shot. Again, not all games are equal. Winning 104-101 for the Bucks over the Suns yesterday, as heard here on 97.3 ESPN. They didn't have the luxury of Giannis going out there and having one of his monster games. They had to beat a Phoenix Suns team without Kevin Durant, obviously. Basically with Brook Lopez and Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. But are we going to sit here and say the Suns are bums now because Milwaukee beat them without Giannis? Are we going to say the Miami Heat are horrible because they lost 128-99 to a Milwaukee Heat that played almost the entire game without Giannis? Don't you still look at Miami and say because they have Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo and Taylor Hero that they could be a dangerous team in the postseason? So why do we give a team like Miami or a team like Phoenix the right to lose games, but the Sixers are not allowed the right to lose games? Again, it comes back to irrational reactions. And I'm not going to insult anyone's intelligence out there by being that guy. Now, if I'm wrong, you're more than welcome to chime in at 609-403-0973 on the text board or DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. If my perspective on the Sixers is wrong and you're shaking your fist at the radio right now, or you're shaking your fist wherever you're listening to the show, tell me why. At 609-403-0973. Jeff in Ocean City chimes in. This is Josh. More disappointing than the loss to Boston was Milwaukee winning 2 games without Giannis. That hill to climb to the 2 seed seems like a mountain now. Ugh. That's Jeff in Ocean City. Yeah, man, Milwaukee playing well still without Giannis is an amazing testament to that team and their resilience. And the fact that, in the past, if they didn't have Giannis, they'd fall apart. And they just won 2 games without Giannis going out there and being Giannis. I think that's a huge credit to them. And you know what? I'm conflicted because on one hand, I want the 2 seed because in theory, you do want to avoid Boston in the second round. But another part of me that says, look, Milwaukee is no pushover either. We forget that Milwaukee arguably is just as good as Boston. I think the problem with Boston is that they have been such a juggernaut this year. They have played at such an elite level that we forget that Milwaukee is the team of the 2 that has won a championship. Remember, the Celtics got to the NBA Finals and got beat by a Warriors team that was not 100% healthy. Milwaukee got to the NBA Finals a couple of years earlier and beat a Phoenix team that came in, for all intents and purposes, fully loaded and ready to go. Boston is on their 3rd head coach in the last 3 years. Milwaukee has stability that Boston doesn't. And for Milwaukee, for all the injuries that they have had this year, to find a way to win those 2 games recently is an amazing, amazing testament to them. And by the way, for those who are wondering, Milwaukee and Boston have split the season series this year, and they have one more game coming up at the end of March. Milwaukee beat Boston on Christmas Day, and they lost in overtime to Boston on February 14th. Pretty good. 2 pretty good teams right there. 609-403-0973. Texter says, Suns without KD right now are trash. Bro, stop. If they're trash, then why did they lose by 3 points? See, I hate that mentality. You know who's trash? You know who's a bad team? It's the Houston Rockets. The Suns aren't trash. No, bro, I'm not going to stop it. Anonymous texter texting the text board at 609-403-0973. I get it. The Phoenix Suns' entire future and postseason is completely on the outcome that Kevin Durant is going to come back and do something for them. I get it, all right? Since the trade deadline, here is what the Phoenix Suns have done, because remember, they traded a lot of pieces to get Durant. The day of the deadline, when they had nobody available, they lost 116-107 to a Hawks team that has been like watching a roller coaster ride. They then went on to beat the Indiana Pacers, beat the Sacramento Kings, who are top 4 in the Western Conference, are the Kings. They lost to the Clippers by 9. That's when Kawhi Leonard started being Kawhi Leonard again, was this past month. Then they beat the OKC Thunder coming out of the All-Star break, and then they lost by 3 to the Bucks. So, bro, they're not trash. I'm sorry. Are they a great team? No, of course not. But Jeff in Ocean City has every right to be disappointed that Milwaukee still found a way to win without Giannis. Still an impressive job by the Bucks. Another text coming in at 609-403-0973. We'll get this one more before we hit the commercial break here on Game Night on 973 ESPN. Says Sixers are very good, but the only way they get over the hump, you'll have to see something we've never seen before, and that's Harden being a uppercase dog in a big playoff game. The thing with the Harden in the playoff game is always a fascinating conversation to me, because Harden has not always been bad in the playoffs. He's just been bad in some of the most watched and visible games every single year. Again, Harden has had a ton of games where he has played well. Look, I'm not going to sit here and count every single game that he has played, but you may not know this, but Harden has 45 playoff games where he has scored 30 or more points. 45 games where he has scored 30 or more points. Harden also has 39 games where he has shot 50% or better from three-point range. That's a lot of games for me to sit here and say he's always played bad in the postseason. The problem for Harden is it's not just the big games. It's the fact of this is a guy who I think the bigger number is this. It's not the scoring. It's not the three-point shooting. The reason why the texter is saying that Harden has played bad in big playoff games is because Harden has 26 games where he has 6 or more turnovers in a game. And if I'm reading this correctly, according to Basketball Reference, 5 games with 9 or more turnovers in a game. And guess who those opponents were? Houston versus Golden State, Houston versus OKC, Houston versus the Clippers, the good Clipper team, not the bad ones. Houston versus Golden State again, and then Houston versus San Antonio in that series where he played horribly the entire series. So Harden has had these massive moments where he has played really bad, but he has had these amazing games as well. To me, it's not that Harden can't show up in a game, it's that he's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You never know which version of Harden you're getting. To me, that's the most frustrating thing. What's most frustrating to me is that Harden has had all of these games where he has played well and almost the same number of games where he has played poorly. That is the biggest question with Harden. Which Harden shows up in what game? Because again, if you go by the playoff record, as I said, according to Basketball Reference, Harden has 45 games. 45 with 30 points or more scored. 45. On the flip side, he has 26 games with 6 or more turnovers in the game. That's a huge sample size to basically sit there and shrug your shoulders over. I'll get to more of your texts on the other side. 609-403-0973. That's how you get a hold of the show. Also, your DMs in the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com. Powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Mega Millions is now $145 million. With a win like that, you could take the whole family on your dream vacation or leave the kids behind with the in-laws. We won't judge. After all, anything can happen in Jersey.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Josh, quote, "After walking around my whole life being a mouth breather, I was excited to try Navage. I read the directions carefully, pressed the button, and oh my gosh, what a sensation. So much mucus, so much crud, but oh sweet, merciful air I can finally breathe you through my nose. Never have I ever taken such an amazing breath in my life. This is a life changer," unquote. He's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, Navage, clean nose, healthy life.
Today on Hey Culligan, smooth skin and soft hair comes from where? Here's Mike.
Hey, Culligan.
I've tried every conditioner, lotion, and body wash known to man, and my skin still feels like sandpaper.
It could be your water, Mike.
Oh, that's harsh.
More like hard water. Are you interested in smart, high-efficiency water softeners from Culligan Water?
Huh?
Want baby smooth skin and soft, luxurious hair?
Yeah, can you hurry? I have a date tonight.
We're already on the way, Mike. Let us help you out with the free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. Go to nomoredraftywindows.com for full offer details.
Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass. Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And right now, you can save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. Just text PLACE to 200-300 for your free consultation on top-quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right, you don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus, save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Text PLACE to 200-300 right now. Text the word PLACE to 200-300. Don't wait, text PLACE to 200-300.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Searching for fun ways to spend your tax return? Boats for cats. Oh, flotation devices for cats. Don't waste it all on something silly. Spend smarter with Straight Talk. Get our Silver Unlimited plan for $45 a month with unlimited high-speed data and with nationwide 5G. Plus, get a Samsung A13 5G for only $99.99, down from $149. If you're looking to get the most out of your refund, your search ends here. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See latest terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to MattBlattKiaNJ.com for more details. That's MattBlattKiaNJ.com.
It's gotta be
Matt Blatt Kia. You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free.
6:25, about 10 minutes from now. We will talk with Bryan, the co-host of the NBA podcast here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. But first, back to your thoughts and comments on the text board at 609-403-0973 and your DMs in the 973 ESPN last hour. My first name. Tom and Margate chimes and says, "Hey Josh, your anonymous texter is way off. The Suns are a very good team. I gotta tell you though, this idea of legacy in today's world, there's no more guys like Ernie Banks who try to be their best. Everyone thinks about rings, about their legacy." Tom Margate. Couple things there. One, listen, Tom, there's a lot of people, they're off. It's all good. I like to read as many texts as I can that come into the show. I was wrong. We all move on, right? We put the L in their column like we do in the win-loss column in regular sports. The Suns are a good team. And I think that if they're healthy, they're probably one of the best teams in the West. The problem is they're healthy. And I feel like with the Suns, we are treating them a little bit like we did with the Brooklyn Nets years ago, where the Nets, the whole thing was if KD and Kyrie and Harden work out. So the Suns were doing the same what if game if Durant and CP3 and Devin Booker are all healthy, and if DeAndre Ayton does his job, they can win. I think that the Suns have the talent on paper, but the problem is on the court. Well, they still have to get on the court, pretty much. That's what it comes down to. The thing about legacy is you're right. There's very few players who just try to be their best anymore. But it's because the media and the fans have completely destroyed the conversation about athletes. And people like Charles Barkley and Dominic Wilkins are looked down upon because they don't win championships. Like, it's all their fault. When the reality is that anyone who has any said knows that it's not true. It's not true that Wilkins and Barkley are bums. In fact, if Barkley was on a different team or he was on a better Suns team, could they have beaten the Bulls? I mean, Barkley played amazing for the most part in that NBA Finals in Chicago. It just took the Bulls being the Bulls to beat them. Patrick Ewing, he never won a championship. Is he a bum? No, of course not. He's one of the best. You could argue Ewing is one of the top 10, 12 centers in NBA history. Barkley is one of the 50 greatest players of all time. They win championships. Dominique Wilkins, one of the best players of all time. The idea of just trying to be your best has been diluted. It's been devalued. You have a lot of athletes out there that are so worried about going through their career and not being the best. Not being, not being just your individual best and being focused only on rings is convoluted because let's be realistic. How many guys would have won championships if Jordan and the Bulls weren't in their way, or if Magic and the Lakers weren't in their way in the 80s? Every year it felt like it was Lakers and Celtics in the NBA Finals in the 1980s. Why? Because those teams were that powerful, that dominant. If they weren't that powerful and that dominant, does somebody else win a championship in the 80s, not named the Celtics or the Lakers or the Pistons later on? Maybe. I don't know. We may never know. We will never know, I should say. So, Tom and Mark is right. There was something we said about legacy and about these athletes. They don't want to be their best anymore. They're just chasing rings all the time. And it's a problem. By the way, the anonymous texter is very, very persistent that the Suns are not a good team. He says, you don't know the Suns. You can't name anybody aside from the 3 banged up players. 2 of their 3 core guys are injured and the rest are nobodies. Cut it out. Well, guess what? Most of the Miami Heat during the early 2010s were nobodies, and they still got to the NBA Finals 4 straight years. Sometimes if your 3 core guys are that good, it does matter. Listen, I don't disagree that if they're injured, it's a problem. I totally get that. But I say the same thing with the Warriors. If the Warriors are healthy, they're going to be competing for the NBA title. We got to pick and choose. If it's about being healthy, then yes, remove the Suns, remove the Warriors, remove some teams from the conversation altogether. But if we're supposed to act like they're all going to be healthy, then yes, they're one of the best. If your choice is to say if a team has an injury history this season, we're removing them from the conversation, then yes, remove the Suns, remove the Warriors, remove the Clippers, and remove Milwaukee from the conversation. Or is that too many teams? I'm not sure. I'm running out of trying to figure out where the goalpost is. Maybe we'll ask Bryan Toporek coming in next. How do we tier these teams with injuries next on Game Night? Bryan Toporek, host of the NBA podcast, Forbes Sports NBA writer, and Liberty Ballers contributor, joins me next here on 97.3 ESPN.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Up and in. How does he do it? He doesn't create space. He's not by any means leaping over the defenders.
It's Sixers Heat tonight. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN.
Imagine having the power to multiply your winnings. You can with the New Jersey Lottery Power X family of scratch-offs. Feel the power of winning 2 to 50 times more cash with a top prize of up to $3 million. Play Power X today. Anything can happen in Jersey.
Oh, I can't believe tax season is here already. Look at all this info I have to enter.
Phil's small accounting firm is growing in numbers.
Why didn't I take that typing class in high school?
A data entry specialist could really help him in a crunch.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Spring is in the air, and that can only mean one thing: spring grilling. The steak experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to spring into something delicious with their semi-annual sale. With 50% off site-wide, grab all your favorites like perfectly aged tender steaks, ocean fresh seafood, juicy burgers, incredible air-chilled chicken, and decadent desserts. Plus, when you go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code HOT at checkout, you'll get an additional $30 off your order. It's the perfect way to get fired up and spring into something special. Don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com. Use code HOT at checkout and take advantage of this deal. Omaha Steaks is ready to ship your order right away, and you're going to want to hurry because 50% off site-wide is only happening for a limited time. So don't miss your chance to save. Visit omahasteaks.com. Use code HOT at checkout and get an additional $30 off when you shop their semi-annual sale today. Minimum order may be required.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or play. Stop, opt out. Go to nomoredraftywindows.com for full offer details.
Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass. Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And right now, you can save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. Just text PLACE to 200-300 for your free consultation on top-quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right. You don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus, save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Text PLACE to 200-300 right now. Text the word PLACE to 200-300. Don't wait. Text PLACE to 200-300.
Listen up, New Jersey and Philly car buyers. Matt Blatt Mitsubishi has only 3 questions for you. Do you have a job? Yes. Do you have 99 cents? Yes. Do you want a new car? Yes. Why would you buy a used car or pay high interest rates? If you have a job clearing $350 per week, Matt Blatt Mitsubishi wants to approve you. So bring any trade and drive home in a brand new Mitsubishi, like the all-new 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander with 99 cents down and 2.9% financing, plus a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty for the price of most used cars with only 99 cents down. Matt Blatt Mitsubishi keeps the rates low, and with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy, you can't go wrong. Simply Matt Blatt Mitsubishi. Rate qualifications exist with approved credit. $27.78 per 1,000 finance on in-stock 2023 Mitsubishi Outlanders. Not all will qualify. Go to mattblattmitsubishi.com for complete details or call 844-946-2315. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Expires 3/3/23. Matt Blatt Mitsubishi in the heart of Glassboro for 30 years.
When a cold comes on strong, knock it out with Vicks DayQuil Severe for max strength daytime relief. Just 1 dose of Vicks DayQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Power through your day with Vicks DayQuil Severe, the daytime non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, 9 to none medicine. Use as directed.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket, just like our customer, Michelle. As an entrepreneur, every day is different. My phone bill from Cricket, on the other hand, always stays the same. Without surprises, hidden fees, or annual contracts, I can work worry-free. That's Michelle, everybody, doing business like a boss. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Real customer paid for testimonial. See cricketwireless.com for details.
By now, you know that sound. It's the sound of the Home Depot. But what about those sounds? Those are the sounds of a new Samsung laundry set with extra large capacity, serving up a powerful yet gentle clean in just 28 minutes. Making this the sound of savings on the best appliance brands. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Final days to get up to 25% off select appliances, including Samsung. All finishes included. Ends March 1st. Pricing valid February 9th through March 1st, 2023. Extra extra US only. See store or online for details.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs. You used to associate crickets with silence. But since you bought a house in the suburbs, you know crickets hate silence. If any other creature realized rubbing its legs together made a piercing, high-pitched noise, they might think, maybe I won't do that. Constantly. All night long. Luckily, you can save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto. Now that's something to make noise about. Just not constantly. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company coverage provided in service by affiliates and third-party insurers.
The 2023 Hercules Tires MAC Basketball Championships are returning to Atlantic City's Jim Whalen Boardwalk Hall, March 7th through 11th, featuring 22 men's and women's teams. The tournament is fun for the family, featuring a band jam, Spirit Squad showcase, and a mac and cheese fest, where you'll be able to taste a variety of mac and cheese from your favorite local restaurants. Don't miss your chance to be a part of the action to see who'll cut down the nets and earn a spot in the big dance. Get your tickets at boardwalkhall.com.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free.
Of course, Game Night being brought to you by my friends over at Jenkins & Sons. One call does it all. No need to call the drain guy, the heater guy, or the plumbing guy. Just call Jenkins at 609-641-6440. Find out why homeowners and business owners count on Jenkins for the quality, service, and reliability you get from a 3-generation family-run company for plumbing, drain cleaning, and leak repairs. Get furnace, boiler, and hot water heater replacements. Call Jenkins. 609-641-6440. And ask about zero interest financing online at jenkinsandsons.com. Let's get about 15 good minutes in with Bryan Toporek. He's the co-host of the NBA podcast. Also, he writes about the NBA for Forbes Sports and Liberty Ballers, and he's back here on the show here on 97.3 ESPN. Bryan, welcome back. How much do you hate the Suns? I'm curious.
Talk to me in May or June. We'll see if the Sixers run into them. I might have a very different answer. I'm pretty ambivalent right now, though.
Well, basically, so you weren't here for the full show, but basically, part of the conversation has been about the Sixers and about, different things. I was talking about how, Milwaukee just beat the Suns without Giannis. And there was a party that said, hey, Giannis isn't playing. Maybe the Bucks lose some games. The Sixers don't lose too much ground, right? And Milwaukee is just winning no matter who's on the floor, it seems like. And the perception is, well, the Suns, they can't be healthy, so they're trash. I was literally, the texter said, they're trash, bro. So, what are the Suns, Bryan? You cover the whole league. You watch all these different teams. Are the Suns trash? Are they a good team? Are they a bad team? What are they?
I mean, it's worth noting, the Bucks were without Giannis. The Suns were without Kevin Durant, which is kind of their big move at the deadline, that they depleted a lot of their depth to acquire. So I'm not going to say they're trash. We don't know what the Suns are yet. We haven't seen the new look, full strength Suns. We have not seen Kevin Durant in a Suns uniform. It sounds like that should happen as early as, I think, Wednesday was the reporting from a couple days ago. So when fully healthy, I think the Suns are a legitimate title contender if everything goes as expected with KD and integrating into that system. I think there's a real argument they might be the best team in the West. We don't know. But, I mean, on paper, the combination of Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton, it's hard to think of a single team in the NBA that has a top four that can stack up against that. The question is, do the Suns have enough depth to get by? But I think they probably do.
The weird thing about the Suns is that I feel like so many of these teams, Brian, are built on the premise of the Miami Heat of the early 2010s, right? It's give me 3 super elite players. And if everybody else is just, average or above average, we can contend. And I feel like that blueprint has had very mixed results since the Miami Heat. Like we saw, LeBron winning the bubble with him and AD and a bunch of rando guys with Rondo, right? But we also saw a team like the Suns a couple of years ago lose to the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Bucks, and Suns both had similar deep rosters. So we've seen teams of different makeups win championships.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Suns certainly chose star power over depth by sacrificing Mikal Bridges, sacrificing Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder. But I think it's the right gamble to make. I mean, when your rotation gets cut down in the playoffs, most of the times once you're getting deep into the playoffs, at least one of the teams is going 6, maybe 7 deep. Another one might be going 8 deep, but going 9 or 10 deep matters in the regular season when, you're just trying to manage how healthy everyone's going to be. I'm sorry for my son in the background. He's clearly excited about the Suns. But
he likes the Suns a lot, apparently.
Yeah, clearly. But Kevin Durant, is if healthy and if he can stay healthy. And I think that's the biggest question for the Suns when you've got a 37-year-old Chris Paul, a 34-year-old Kevin Durant, who's been injured a lot. That's a fair concern. But if healthy, I don't know. Maybe the Nuggets are the only other team that I'm even considering picking over them in the West right now.
Part of my problem is that, Brian, you have to decide between if everyone is healthy, how things stack up, and then saying, well, if people are not healthy. Because to me, that means you're removing a lot of teams from the conference. You're removing the Suns. You're removing the Warriors. You're removing the Clippers, for goodness sake. You're removing 3 of the big names in the Western Conference from contendership altogether. So, yes, maybe in that case, the Nuggets are the best team. But also in that case, we're also saying that the Lakers could win a championship. And I think Brian just froze. I think we got him back now. Brian, you got me?
Yep. Yes.
All right.
Yep.
So Western Conference, healthy, not healthy. Go.
Yeah. I mean, I think Phoenix and Denver at the top. Clippers, man, it's I want to believe, but they're losing. They're out here losing to the Kings. The Nuggets game was close, and that shows, they're right there with the top of the West. But I don't think I can put them on the same tier as the Nuggets and Suns. Grizzlies are in there. I mean, I know they've fallen apart a little bit as of late, but with Steven Adams coming back, he's a sneaky big part of what they do. So fully healthy, I think the Grizzlies are in that mix as well. And don't look now, but the Lakers, man, that they saved their season at the trade deadline. I mean, it is an unbelievable job considering how much pressure they were under. Again, health is the question. LeBron's got a foot injury now. Anthony Davis is just constantly banged up as well. D'Angelo Russell is now injured too. So, they have depth, but they're very top heavy. So, if fully healthy, I think they are a real threat to at least win a playoff series now, which I would not have said 3 weeks ago.
Well, if we go by recency bias, the Grizzlies smashed the Nuggets on Saturday. So
that's true.
Under that case, the Grizzlies are a contender too. So, I mean, it's so rough because, Brian, in the NBA, you know how it is that the fan wants to react from game to game. They want to react to wins versus losses. They don't react to the ebb and flow of a season. And to me, I look at, for example, the Sixers beat the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies smashed the Nuggets. The Sixers lose to the Celtics. The Bucks beat the Suns without Giannis. And I feel like those are all things that are part of the story. They're not definitive, this team's good, this team's bad. Let's go all bet on one team to win.
Yeah. I mean, over the course of the season, the cream starts to separate toward the top. And I think it's fair to say, the Bucks, the Celtics, both of those teams are very good. You expect them to go at least win a series in the playoffs, if not 2. I thought the reaction to that Celtics game was very surprising because I left it feeling more encouraged about the Sixers' chances this year. And then, I signed offline. I went to bed. I was like, close game. It was really fun, competitive, felt like a playoff game in mid-February or late February. That was awesome. And I get online the next day and I see there's just a lot of negativity about that game. And I'm like, what? Did we watch two separate games here? They stood toe to toe with arguably the best team in the NBA, lost on a last second shot and we're a half second away from tying it on an absolute miracle. So yeah, I'm with you. It's, over the course of the 82 game season, it is very easy to fall into the trap of overreacting to a single result or a week or even a month. And, I think the best teams in the NBA use the regular season as a way to experiment. Whether the Sixers have done that successfully is up to interpretation. I think we're starting to see some promising signs of that. Doc Rivers is now going away from these all bench lineups that he had been using for a lot of the season. James Harden is starting to anchor those a little bit more, which I think is more of a playoff style rotation than we'd see. We're starting to see PJ Tucker play the 5 a little bit more, which, I totally get why they would not want to do that for most of the season. He's 37. Let's save those miles for when we need them. But, you saw that was, I would argue PJ Tucker's best game as a Sixer the other night. So if that's the version of PJ Tucker that they're going to get, Tobias Harris, the version they got of him in the first quarter, I still think the Sixers are below the Celtics and probably the Bucks. But other than that, I take them over anyone else in the East right now.
Bryan Toporek joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN at Beat Toporek on Twitter. Make sure you like, subscribe, download the NBA podcast. He is the co-host of that. You mentioned how they are. It's the Celtics, the Bucks, Sixers. That's 1, 2, 3 in the Eastern Conference. What is the real gap? Because if you ask some people Tim Legler, he says, hey, the Sixers have just as much talent as those other two teams to compete. You ask some of the fans out there, all they focus on is the Sixers are 0-3 against the Celtics this season. And you ask some people, they say that, hey, the Celtics and the Bucks, they're the two best teams in the East, but the Sixers are the next tier down. So what really is the separation between those three?
Yeah, I think the Celtics are clearly the best team of those three. I think the Bucks and Sixers deserve to be mentioned in the same tier as them. I think it's so hard, man. I mean, part of me just thinks the Celtics and the Bucks have proved it in the playoffs and the Sixers haven't. So for that reason alone, you give them the benefit of the doubt, but it sounds stupid, right? It sounds like a bad reason to give them an advantage over the Sixers, because I look at it on paper and I think, you know what? The Sixers actually match up pretty well against the Bucks in particular. I think the Celtics present some matchup challenges for the Sixers, but we saw the other night, their dual big lineup of Horford and Robert Williams, which they prefer to start with. The Sixers really took advantage of that. Embiid was able to roam off of Robert Williams and really cause some defensive havoc. And once the Celtics went to their bench and went for, some smaller lineups with 4 guards and wings, that started to give the Sixers some problems. So I think that the Celtics deserve to be favored in a series with the Sixers or in a series with the Bucks, a series with anyone. That isn't to say they're unbeatable, but I think they will go into assuming full health, they will go into the playoffs as the title favorite in the NBA. I mean, it's going to be really tough for the Sixers to catch the Bucks in terms of record, because the Sixers, I'm sure, as you've discussed and has been repeated, for the last week, they have the toughest remaining schedule in the NBA. So I think it's more likely even that they fall to 4 than they do jump up to 2 to catch the Bucks. But, in a 7-game series, I would be tempted to pick the Sixers. They'll need Embiid to be the best player in that series, which is no small ask with Giannis Antetokounmpo on the other side. But Embiid has now reached that level where he can be in the conversation of, regardless of who else is on the court, he's the best player. We saw it Saturday night. Jason Tatum is an MVP candidate. Joel Embiid was the best player on the floor Saturday night.
Obviously, part of the big conversation with the Sixers is who's behind Embiid. Nerlens Noel just got cut bought out by the Pistons today. Are you yearning for Nerlens Noel reunion?
I would have been. They signed Dwayne Dedman.
They can always cut him.
They could. They could. And I think that's probably the most realistic option if they were to pursue Nerlens. I found it notable. Daryl Morey went on the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast the other day, and they were discussing the Sixers backup center options in the playoffs. And he specifically mentioned Paul Reed, PJ Tucker, and Dwayne Dedman, did not mention Montrezl Harrell, which I found interesting. Montrez has a $2.8 million player option for next year. So if they waived him, that would be on their books. They could stretch him. So it'd be like $900,000 on their books for each of the next 3 years instead. So like the easiest way to do it is just cut Dedman, sign Noel instead. Wouldn't shock me if Noel has a bigger offer from another team. The Sixers can only offer him like a prorated minimum contract. And obviously with 3 other guys backing up Embiid at the moment, can't really promise him like, you've got the backup center spot locked down. You got 20 minutes per game for sure. But if they could make it work realistically, I would be in favor of giving him a shot.
Before I let you go, so I want to ask you about this. I want to get your just raw reaction here. So everybody always talks about how Harden's not a good playoff guy, right? Like that's the thing we thought. What if I told you? That's like a 30 documentary. What if I told you that in 45 playoff games, Harden has scored 30 or more points?
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
nobody talks about that.
I think the narrative is less about what he did overall in the playoffs. Is these like high leverage games. So like game 5 tied 2-2, or these closeout games, either they're at risk of being closed out for the season or vice versa. That's typically when the issues start to pop up. I know ESPN Zach Lowe has gone back and watched every single one of his closeout games, and in painstaking detail has laid out Harden's issues in those moments. But at the same time, that was a lot of those came in Houston, or probably a grand majority of those came in Houston when
Correct.
He had to be the number one guy. He doesn't have to be that anymore. He's playing with Joel Embiid. All he's got to do is run the pick and roll and get that pocket pass to Embiid, at the elbow, and just hope Embiid either runs to the rim and dunks it or hits that mid-range jumper that was, has been almost automatic for him all year. Like we saw it the first half of the Grizzlies game, he wasn't hitting it. And then all of a sudden he turned it on in the second half and fueled that huge comeback.
Sixers basketball coming up tonight. Sixers versus the Heat next on 97.3 ESPN. We've been joined by Bryan Toporek, the co-host of the NBA podcast, for Sports NBA writer and contributor for Liberty Ballers. Bryan, appreciate you jumping on for the Sixers game. Hopefully the Sixers win tonight so people can, take it easy, not jump off any bridges, okay?
Yeah, fingers crossed. It's a tough week coming up, so I think the takes will be flying.
Really quick, 5-game road trip. Do they win 3?
Ooh, I hope so. I just want. I'm going to write about this at Liberty Ballers soon. We don't know what's coming over in April, May, June, July. I would just really encourage everyone to try to enjoy these last 20 games of the regular season as much as possible.
Enjoy the journey, as Mike Gill would say.
Yeah, because there's a non-zero chance it gets a lot more bleak after, what depending on what happens in the playoffs. All these Harden going back to Houston rumors, got some financial issues to work out. Even if they could re-sign Harden, they're not going to be able to keep their whole supporting cast. Most likely, they will probably be a worse team next year. So, this is one of the best Sixers teams of my lifetime. I'm trying to I've been in the negative Debbie Downer mode for most of the season, but I'm trying to stay optimistic.
Bryan Toporek, at Pete Toporek on Twitter. Great stuff today, Bryan. Appreciate you jumping on.
Of course, anytime, Josh.
As we mentioned, Sixers basketball coming up next here on 97.3 ESPN. Oh, you can follow me on Twitter at Josh Hennig as well. Tom McGinnis calling all the action. We'll be back in action tomorrow. Mike Gill on the Sports Bash from 2 to 6. I'll be back on for the Power Hour from 6 to 7. Thanks to all the text messages that came in. Even the guy who kept yelling at me every 5 minutes on the text board. I mean, that guy has a total of 17 texts into the text board today. I mean, that guy is a puncher of that button. I don't know if I could even do 17 texts in one day without fumbling my words. He's sending 17 texts in one shot. That guy deserves credit. Listen, I don't have your name, texter. You were anonymous, but I give you credit. You sent 17 texts and spelled everything right today.
Health update with Robin Stoloff. Learn more, live better.
Want to improve your brain function? Do a cardio workout. One study found that after one treadmill session, exercisers learn new words 20% faster. Why? Because getting your heart pumping delivers more oxygen to your brain,